Hi everyone, this is Dr. Bhupendra Kumar Som, Director GIMS, and with me sitting today is VP Professional Engagement and Outreach, Mr. Chandrakant Singh. Welcome, Chandrakant.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure.
So today's session is going to be very special for the students and the students who are looking forward to make their career into management. So when I say management, that means after taking the management education, they want to build their career in the corporate. So Chandrakant is a professional trainer, and he has trained thousands of students about the right attitude, the right kind of skill set a student should acquire. So Chandrakant, quickly, few tips which a management graduate, in fact a fresher management graduate who just completed the graduation, came to take a management PG course.
Right.
What are the few tricks and tips you would like to share a student should practice from day one for 2 years so that his journey in the corporate becomes sustainable and growing?
So the very first thing which I think which a student should definitely do right from day one is to try and understand what exactly the corporate is expecting from him or her. If I as a student, if I'm very clear what exactly the corporate expectations are, I would automatically be able to build up my skills accordingly. So if my inclination is towards HR, if my inclination is towards marketing, or if I'm wanting to do something in finance, I would automatically know what kind of certifications are needed. I would know what kind of skill sets are needed. And few skill sets which any management graduate would automatically need to be able to do well in their lives. I think, communication skills, if I can communicate really well in whatever space I am, I would be able to do well for myself. The other quality which I think which will definitely stand out, and with the way things are changing and evolving and with new technology, in place, with artificial intelligence and much talked about, machine learning and stuff like that, I think our ability to learn, unlearn, and then relearn, that becomes very important, because what we are maybe teaching today is going to be not applicable in the jobs maybe in the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. We really don't know what kind of future is actually waiting for us. So that way I think the ability to maybe forego everything that we have learned and then try and get into that zone where we are ready to adapt and learn new technologies, anything which actually requires to be successful in the corporate. I think that is going to be the key for all these management enthusiasts.
Okay, like you mentioned two things. One is the student, if he's able to identify what is expected from him,
Right.
In terms of corporate.
Right.
And the second is communication. So what is your opinion that what is the mechanism that means a student should be able to identify, okay, this is the corporate expectation. Is it through their mentors, teachers?
Right.
How a student should be able to identify?
I think so the best way is to leverage LinkedIn. If I as a student, if I can connect with a lot of people in the space that I am interested in, so if my inclination is towards HR, if I can connect with a lot of HR professionals who are already doing well in that space, they have been in that space, they have done it, they have proved themselves. Somebody is the HR head, somebody is playing some meaningful role, right? So if I can reach out to them, and these are people who are actually more than willing to give it back to the society. It's just about approaching them, giving them the due respect, and then maybe receiving a few great tips from them. So these are people who can definitely tell the students what exactly the expectations are, what exactly the latest do's and don'ts are, what exactly is that particular skill which the corporate is actually looking at, what is the latest technology which people are talking about, right? What are the certifications which people can do on top of the formal PGDM education that people are maybe taking from here. So I think these are few things which people can do if people can leverage LinkedIn, if people can try and connect with more and more people, if we can, as an institute, if we can try and have more and more people from the industry to come and speak to the students, if we can have our alumni who have been, flag bearers of our institute, have been doing exceptionally well in the industry, if we can try and get them. These are people who can definitely tell our students what exactly is happening in the industry. So this would be directly from the horse's mouth.
So LinkedIn is actually one of the major platforms.
Definitely.
So the key for the students is to spend more time on LinkedIn if you want to go professionally. The second question actually comes from when you say about the communication. So there is a big chunk of student who is little confused when they hear the word communication.
Right.
Then they immediately single channel way they start working on their English language.
Right.
So how do you think, what are the different components apart from, of course, a globally accepted English language, because you need to deal with international clients and all? How many different cogs are there which fit into the machinery of communication? Is it only the language or like?
So communication as a whole, it's not about what we speak and the words that we use to frame our sentences. It's the entire body language. Our body also speaks everything about us. Whether we are interested in the meeting, in the client meeting, the kind of presentation that we are doing, how well dressed we are, how groomed we are. So our body language speaks for ourselves. So if people can understand that, every bit of ourselves, the way we speak, the way we conduct ourselves, the way we shake hands with people, the way we carry ourselves, the way we sit, the way we greet people, everything talks a certain thing about our personality. So if we can try and have that in control, if every bit of that personality traits, talks about that particular thing that we are intending to become. If I'm wanting to become an HR professional, my personality should speak that. Somebody should be able to look at me and tell that, okay, yes, he's the HR professional, he's the marketing professional, he's the finance professional. So yes, definitely your verbal language, your communication skills, because for anything, you're doing presentations, you're doing meetings, you're collaborating with the team, whatever you do, your verbal communication becomes very, very important. Your email writing skills, your email etiquettes. So that I think again is very, very important. So speaking English, that is again one thing, but yes, if people can also try and understand what business communication is, that again I think is going to be a key ingredient of our communication skills.
I think nowadays the rural marketing is coming up by and large. There is companies are expanding a lot into the rural market.
Yes.
So probably on the top of the language, which people most of the time the students think that it is actually English, you might need to be well versed with the local language or something to expand the market into the rural marketing.
Right.
So the second key takeaway from Chandrakant to the students is that communication is not only about the English language. It's about your body language. It's about how you dress, how you present yourself, and how that attitude gets built up. So Chandrakant, my last question to you is, if I look into the corporate, they actually look into two different type of competencies amongst students, the behavioral competencies and technical competencies.
Right.
So do you think a student should have a really right balance of it, or nowadays it is the time that even if you are an average performer in technical competencies but your behavioral competencies are better, so you can perform better? So how somebody should balance out these two competencies?
But definitely, sir. If I have to, let's say, pick up any 50 random resumes from the batch, from any given batch, all of the resumes will certainly have a few qualities written. I am hardworking, I am a team player, certain qualities, which everybody says depicts on their resume. But how am I, as an interviewer, going to be actually validating whether you actually are a team player? So I should definitely have those validating points on my resume.
Oh, okay.
So with my past experience, what are those things which I can definitely bring, which I can share, which I can communicate, which I can talk about, which tells the interviewer, which gives the impression to the interviewer, okay, this guy over here is definitely a team player. This guy over here is actually a person who would walk that extra mile to get that task done. So certain experiences of my life, certain things. For example, let's say if I am a BBA graduate today, and if I am getting into one of the top B schools, if I am getting into one of the, let's say, best organizations, if I'm getting interviewed today, how is it that I am different from the crowd which is actually waiting outside? That's what I've done my BBA.
What makes you stand out?
Right. So people should be able to ask that question to themselves, why me? So okay, I've done my BBA, this is what the percentage is, but yes, I've compromised maybe 10-15%, I've got 70%, but I've done these internships, I've done these many certifications, these are the skill sets that I have developed. I was also volunteering in all the other events that were happening in the institute. In fact, I was actually leading them and I was a team player there. This is how we did it differently from the other batches. So now that gives me an impression, okay, this is a guy who might not be content with things, who's maybe definitely looking for improvement, who's wanting to get involved in all the things which are maybe happening in and around. So if people can talk about these kind of experiences, I'm sure the interviewer is definitely going to be interested in the profile.
Okay, that's great. So students, for today, the tips from Mr. Chandrakant is A, communication is not only about English language, it's a vast domain. It includes your body language, your personality, and the way you carry yourself. The second tip has already been given by him, that on your resume, you need to stand out, you need to mention your behavioral competencies by and large. So these are the few takeaways from today's talk. Thank you very much.